After Lauren Sánchez secured her position beside Jeff Bezos with access to billions and influence that stretches across business, media, and politics, whispers began spreading through elite circles that her ambitions were far from satisfied, and while the public focused on glamorous photos of yacht vacations, red carpet appearances, and smiling Instagram posts, insiders spoke of a new phase in her strategy, one that could make her not only the most powerful woman in Jeff's orbit, but one of the most feared operators in American high society, because what Lauren had built over 3 decades was not simply a career or a marriage. It was an empire carved from the ruins of competitors, and like every empire, it demanded expansion. Those who thought marriage to Bezos would calm her miscalculated, because sources close to the couple describe how Lauren systematically reshaped Jeff's inner circle, removing longtime advisors, assistants, and friends one by one, citing conflicts of interest or trust issues until only those loyal to her remained already. At least 4 senior aides from Bezos's camp have quietly resigned after disputes tied to Lauren's growing influence, and behind the scenes, her eyes are fixed on new conquests. With rumors pointing to politics, media, and global philanthropy as her next frontiers in Washington, D.C., reports surfaced that Sánchez had quietly met with high-profile consultants, usually reserved for presidential hopefuls, fueling speculation she was preparing either a campaign of her own or a behind-the-scenes role that would rival any spouse of power. Insiders claim she has been studying the careers of figures like Hillary Clinton and even Jacqueline Kennedy, noting how both women leveraged their positions into cultural and political power. But unlike them, Lauren is said to approach every move with the same ruthless calculation that brought her from local TV to the billionaire's yacht. She knows the media landscape is fractured, and insiders say she is already assembling a team of producers, journalists, and strategists to build what one rival called a shadow media empire, designed to both protect her image and dismantle anyone who dares question her plans. Competitors in the media world have begun whispering about mysterious leaks, scandals, and sudden career collapses that conveniently benefit Sánchez. One high-profile podcast host who had planned an exposé episode on her abruptly pulled the segment after receiving what sources called legal pressure combined with personal information leaks. Another rising television journalist who criticized her relationship with Bezos found their private texts spread online in a way that destroyed their credibility, leading to speculation that Lauren's signature tactics of weaponizing information have already moved into the digital era, and it doesn't stop there. Whispers in Hollywood suggest that Sánchez has been quietly networking with production companies exploring ways to create streaming documentaries and lifestyle content that would position her not as the scandalous other woman, but as an inspirational figure, a billionaire's partner who embodies glamour, aviation, and philanthropy. Yet those who know her past warn that this rebrand is part of the same methodical strategy that destroyed dozens of lives before, because each new project seems to come at the cost of someone else's downfall. Already, there are hints of fresh rivalries in her path. One entertainment executive reportedly lost a lucrative Amazon Studios deal after refusing to grant Sánchez creative control. And within months, the executive was hit by negative press stories about toxic workplace culture stories, which some allege were pushed by Lauren's growing network of allies in media circles. Similarly, a Washington nonprofit director who questioned Sánchez's sudden entrance into the philanthropic space found herself facing anonymous complaints about financial mismanagement. Though no evidence was ever proven, the reputational damage forced her resignation, clearing the way for Lauren to step into the spotlight as a new face of women in philanthropy. Critics warn, this is the same pattern repeated over decades. Locate the rival, identify the weakness, exploit it until the rival collapses, leaving Lauren to occupy the space. But what is most chilling, according to insiders, is the suggestion that Lauren's ambitions now stretch toward global recognition. She has reportedly expressed interest in working with United Nations initiatives and space diplomacy programs, linking her role in Bezos's Blue Origin to larger international projects. But with those ambitions comes fresh opportunities for conflict in the aerospace sector. Rivals whisper that Lauren has already clashed with a European entrepreneur who leads a competing space tourism venture. Sources say negative rumors about safety and financial instability began circulating shortly after Lauren's team began conversations about expansion into Europe, fueling speculation that she is exporting her brand of competitive elimination across borders. Meanwhile, in Silicon Valley, startup founders describe a sudden chill if they are perceived as close to Mackenzie Scott, Jeff's ex-wife and Lauren's most visible symbolic rival. One founder said his investment meeting evaporated overnight after he was spotted attending a charity gala hosted by Scott. The unspoken message is clear: align with Lauren or risk being frozen out of the billionaire's orbit. What makes this stage of Lauren's story even more unsettling is how she seems to blend personal and professional warfare seamlessly. Former friends whisper that even in social settings, she takes mental notes of weaknesses, vulnerabilities, and secrets, using charm to disarm before turning information into ammunition. Later, one Hollywood publicist recalls a dinner where Lauren seemed endlessly supportive of another guest's new marriage, only to see tabloid stories about the husband's alleged infidelity appear weeks later, destroying the couple's reputation. The publicist swears it was not coincidence, but part of Lauren's ongoing pattern of playing confidant before delivering betrayal, and with Jeff's fortune behind her, the scale of her reach has multiplied dramatically. Analysts estimate that the networks she controls through philanthropy, aviation, media, and tech could be valued at over $2 billion. Today, making her not only powerful by association, but independently dangerous because she has the resources to act without needing permission. What comes next is what frightens rivals most. Rumors swirl that Lauren is eyeing a Senate run in California, or at least positioning herself as a kingmaker, backing candidates who would owe their rise to her. Insiders point to her recent dinners with influential donors and former campaign advisors as evidence of groundwork being laid, but whether she steps directly into the political arena or works from the shadows, the result is the same. Anyone who underestimates her risks ending up like the long list of casualties that litter her past, from classmates to journalists, from athletes to scientists. From pilots to producers, the pattern is undeniable. And yet, despite all this, the public image remains carefully polished. Fashion spreads, glowing interviews, charity appearances, smiling photos beside Jeff. The world sees glamour, but behind it lies a machine of manipulation that shows no signs of slowing. And if history is any guide, the next decade will bring new names to the list of those she leaves in ruins. Because Lauren Sánchez is not finished. She is just beginning. And for those watching, from the sidelines, the question is not if she will strike again, but who will be next. As Lauren Sánchez tightens her grip on Jeff Bezos' empire, insiders say one of the most personal rivalries taking shape is with Mackenzie Scott, the ex-wife whose quiet dignity and massive philanthropic giving have made her one of the most admired women in the world, while Lauren has built her empire on image strategy and ruthless maneuvering. Mackenzie has done the opposite, giving away tens of billions and winning praise from academics, activists, and media alike, creating a contrast that unsettles Lauren's inner circle. Because for all of Sánchez's attempts to reshape her public brand, she cannot escape comparisons to the woman she replaced. Reports from Silicon Valley suggest that foundations and nonprofit directors feel forced to choose between the two, align with Mackenzie and risk losing access to Bezos' fortune. Through Lauren, align with Lauren and risk being frozen out of Mackenzie's highly respected philanthropic networks. One education advocate described being invited to both women's events within the same week and receiving a quiet phone call from Lauren's team, warning that attending Mackenzie's gala might create confusion about loyalties. The advocate declined Mackenzie's invitation and later confessed feeling manipulated. Insiders whisper that Lauren views Mackenzie not only as a rival for Jeff's legacy, but as a symbol that must be neutralized. And some believe she has already begun laying traps in the media. Stories framing Mackenzie's giving as reckless or unsustainable have appeared in certain outlets, with critics noting the suspicious timing around Lauren's own charitable launches. Hollywood, too, has become another battlefield for Lauren's ambitions as she attempts to build her media empire. Leveraging Jeff's connections with Amazon Studios, insiders claim several producers have resisted her influence, saying they will not grant her control over projects or greenlight vanity documentaries tied to her aviation adventures. But soon after those refusals, damaging leaks and public controversies began to swirl. One producer faced allegations of misconduct. Another was accused of financial mismanagement. Another suddenly found their studio deal canceled, clearing the way for Lauren to position herself as a safer alternative. A Hollywood insider said, "Everyone knows the pattern: resist her and your reputation collapses seemingly overnight." Another alleged rivalry brewing is with high-profile political spouses. Lauren has begun appearing at events in Washington, positioning herself near senators and cabinet officials, and quietly studying how their wives manage influence. Insiders say one former First Lady, who still commands respect in Democratic circles, felt Lauren was overstepping and blocked her from joining a women's leadership summit within weeks. Whispers about that former First Lady's alleged family scandal surfaced in gossip pages, though nothing was substantiated, the timing raised eyebrows. Those who track Lauren's rise see these incidents as extensions of her proven strategy from childhood to TV journalism to aviation business. The same blueprint: find a rival, discover their weakness, create pressure, orchestrate a scandal, step into the space left behind. And now with Jeff's billions, her resources to execute these operations are practically limitless. What unnerves observers is how global her reach is becoming. In Europe, the aviation industry is buzzing with suspicion that Lauren is orchestrating campaigns against rivals in film logistics and even luxury tourism. A French executive recounted how his company lost 2 contracts after sudden rumors of safety violations spread among clients. Rumors, he insists, were baseless but effective enough to scare investors away within 6 months. Lauren's aviation wing had acquired one of his former clients at a steep discount, and the executive was left bankrupt. The same story echoes in London, where a rising philanthropic entrepreneur aiming to partner with Blue Origin on educational programs suddenly faced a coordinated wave of online attacks, claiming mismanagement of donations. The entrepreneur lost credibility. Lauren's team stepped in, offering a polished alternative, and secured the program for themselves. Analysts say these patterns show that Sánchez is no longer merely competing in Hollywood or Silicon Valley. She is exporting her brand of calculated elimination across continents. Insiders whisper that her long-term goal may be political, not in the sense of running for Senate alone, but as a figure who blends media, aviation, philanthropy, and politics into a single powerhouse empire. One source close to her says she wants to be America's answer to a global power wife, part Jackie Kennedy, part Oprah, part Sheryl Sandberg, but with sharper knives and fewer limits. And if her track record suggests anything, it is that she will keep carving her path forward, leaving broken careers, shattered reputations, and ruined lives in her wake as Lauren Sánchez extends her reach into new frontiers. One of the most dangerous rivalries whispered about is with Elon Musk, because insiders say she views the space race not as a collaboration, but as a battlefield, where Blue Origin must not only compete but dominate, and those who know her well claim she has quietly encouraged Jeff to take a more aggressive stance against SpaceX, portraying Musk as reckless, unpredictable, and untrustworthy, while at the same time cultivating her own narrative as the glamorous aviation pioneer, positioning herself as the face of responsible space tourism and aerospace innovation. Sources in the industry say Lauren has already tried to block collaborations between Musk's companies and certain contractors by using her influence to raise concerns about reliability and ethics, and the suspicion grows stronger after a sudden flood of negative press stories about SpaceX launches appeared within weeks of her meetings. With Washington lobbyists, though, no evidence links her directly. Many observers believe the fingerprints of her strategy are visible. Find the weakness, push the story, amplify the doubt, while Lauren views Musk as a rival in space. She also sees Washington as a chessboard where new power can be won, and those who have crossed her in political circles describe the same quiet but destructive pattern. One congressional staffer claimed that after questioning Lauren's sudden access to top donors, found his career derailed by anonymous allegations of misconduct. Though nothing was proven, he was forced to resign, clearing the way for one of Lauren's allies to step into his role. Others describe how Lauren studies political spouses with the same intensity she once used on Hollywood anchors, cataloging their friendships, investments, charities, and even marital tensions, looking for pressure points to exploit, and the results are already surfacing. Whispers of marital scandals surrounding 2 high-profile Washington couples began circulating shortly after those women declined to partner with Lauren on women's empowerment initiatives. Insiders call it coincidence, but those familiar with her tactics say it fits her playbook perfectly. And perhaps the most volatile arena of all is inside Jeff Bezos' own family. Because while Lauren publicly plays the role of supportive partner, insiders say she is methodically ensuring that Jeff's relatives, his siblings, and even his children remain dependent on her influence. One former family friend says Lauren has already clashed with one of Jeff's sisters over inheritance matters and philanthropy direction. The sister wanted a larger role in distributing family funds, but Lauren allegedly warned Jeff that his sister was unreliable, planting seeds of distrust, and within months, the sister's visibility inside the family foundation vanished. Another source claims Lauren has subtly distanced Jeff's children from longtime mentors who were loyal to Mackenzie, instead surrounding them with advisors who report back to her. The whispers are chilling because they suggest that even within Jeff's most sacred circle, family Lauren applies the same strategy she used on classmates, coworkers, and rivals: eliminate trust, isolate the target, step into the vacuum, and claim control. What emerges is a picture not of a glamorous partner, but of a strategist, playing a decades-long game with billions at her disposal and limitless ambition ahead. Those who know her say the real question is not what Lauren has already done, but what she is preparing to do next. Because with politics, Hollywood, philanthropy, and aerospace already under her influence, the horizon seems wide open. And for those who have watched her rise from a struggling TV reporter to the queen of a billionaire's empire, the story feels less like a love affair and more like a warning that sometimes the most dangerous rivalries are not between corporations or politicians, but between individuals who understand that power is not given, it is taken piece by piece, life by life, reputation by reputation, until nothing is left but their own empire built on the ruins of everyone else. They say ambition has no ceiling, and for Lauren Sánchez, the horizon appears infinite. Whispers now circle around Hollywood itself, where producers and actresses privately admit they are wary of her. Because while Lauren is not a film star in the traditional sense, she has mastered the art of stepping into premieres, red carpets, and charity galas where influence is traded like currency. One studio insider claims Lauren has begun eyeing a production empire of her own, quietly meeting with executives to discuss female-led projects. But some fear these projects are less about empowerment and more about controlling narratives, placing herself at the center of stories designed to polish her public image and edge out rivals. The rumor that Lauren may soon bankroll a streaming platform partnership only adds to the unease, because Hollywood power has always been fragile, and when a billionaire's partner with her own agenda enters the arena, careers can be made or destroyed overnight. Beyond Hollywood, the tech world watches nervously. Insiders at Google and Apple whisper that Lauren has inserted herself into discussions around future AI regulations and digital media laws, leveraging Jeff's reach but crafting her own network of lobbyists. Because if Lauren can control not only what people see, but how they see it, she could shape public perception on a scale few women in history have achieved. Even more startling are whispers about her global ambitions. Foreign leaders have allegedly courted her presence at private summits, not just because of Bezos, but because they sense Lauren herself as a power broker who can move money and media at will. Some diplomats describe her as charming, others as chilling. One European official allegedly warned colleagues that behind her smile is calculation of how each handshake can be turned into leverage. And while she wins allies abroad, at home, she leaves behind tension that grows sharper each year. Those who worked with Jeff during his marriage to Mackenzie say they barely recognize him now. Less a visionary founder, more a figure orbiting Lauren's will. Even close friends of Jeff whisper that Lauren has begun shaping his philanthropic legacy to reflect her priorities, not his, with billions redirected toward causes that elevate her personal brand rather than the quiet, understated style Jeff once preferred. And then there is the most explosive allegation of all, that Lauren has been quietly preparing a political entrance of her own, not as a candidate yet, but as the power behind one carefully chosen figure. A governor, a senator, maybe even a presidential hopeful whose career could be fueled by Bezos's billions and Lauren's ruthless instincts. Some believe she has already tested this strategy by advising high-profile candidates behind the scenes, offering media coaching introductions and crisis management tips that bear her signature tactic. Destroy the rival before they can strike. Insiders describe her as someone who studies enemies 2 steps ahead, leaving no mistake unexploited, no scandal unused, and no weakness unturned. This growing pattern leads to a chilling possibility that Lauren Sánchez is no longer just Jeff Bezos' fiancée, but a rising shadow empire whose influence may one day rival that of the very men she once pursued. Musk, Zuckerberg, Hollywood moguls, and Washington power players. Because if history has shown anything, it is that those who underestimate Lauren rarely survive the game intact. And as the circle of her alleged rivalries grows wider, the stakes grow higher, and the story of how she reached this point becomes not just a scandal of love and betrayal, but a warning that in the corridors of global power, the most dangerous figures are often the ones who smile while they sharpen the knife. In the end, every empire faces the same question: who truly holds the power? The one with the money, or the one who knows how to use it? Lauren Sánchez has spent years perfecting the second skill, transforming proximity to billionaires into her own stage. Yet what makes her story different from the countless others who chased fortune is how ruthlessly efficient she has been at converting access into authority. Insiders say Jeff Bezos may still sign the checks, but it is Lauren who decides which causes rise, which names fall, and which headlines dominate the news cycle. Some even whisper she has built a private intelligence circle around her, A team of media, fixers, political consultants, and digital strategists whose only purpose is to protect her image and eliminate threats if true. It would explain why stories critical of Lauren often vanish from mainstream outlets, replaced by glossy features that paint her as glamorous, philanthropic, and unstoppable. This control has fueled speculation of an ultimate endgame because ambition like hers does not plateau. It escalates. Some allege her eyes are fixed on building a legacy that outlasts Bezos himself. A media political dynasty, where her children, her allies, and her chosen protégés inherit the networks she has assembled. The whispers suggest a scenario where Jeff's empire becomes Lauren's empire. Not by marriage license alone, but by careful transfer of influence and trust, little by little, until no one can separate where Bezos ends and Sánchez begins. Critics warn this could fracture not only Jeff's family, but also his standing in Silicon Valley, where rivals already mutter that he is no longer the visionary Amazon founder, but the co-pilot of a woman they barely know, yet cannot ignore. The tension is rising. Hollywood fears her Washington eyes her cautiously, Silicon Valley mistrusts her, and Europe treats her with wary fascination. And yet Lauren continues forward, smiling, stepping onto yachts, red carpets, summits, and photo shoots, as if nothing can touch her. Perhaps nothing can, because every rival she leaves behind becomes another reminder of how far she has climbed. Whispers say even Musk keeps his distance. Zuckerberg avoids crossing her, and old Hollywood names once rumored to compete with her now keep quiet. The pattern is undeniable. Lauren wins by outlasting, and by the time the world realizes it, the damage is already done. So the question that lingers at the close of this story is not how she got here, but where she is going next. If the allegations are true, then the world may not be watching the rise of Jeff Bezos' partner, but the creation of something far more dangerous. A shadow architect of power who uses wealth, love, and scandal as tools to carve her place in history. And if that is the case, then every smile, every headline, every whisper may be less about who Lauren Sánchez is today, and more about who she intends to become tomorrow, because when you strip away the diamonds, the yachts, and the glamour, what remains is a woman who has made survival and art and power a destiny. And in that game, there are no final chapters. Only the...
This video covers legal allegations in a news context. All claims are from official filings and no guilt is implied until proven in court. Please keep all discussions respectful. Allegations are not facts until proven in court.